UFC on ESPN 7, Washington DC Overeem versus Rozenstruik just took place last night, and I'm going to go through the entire card, giving my reaction to every single fight on the card, starting at the early prelims, ending with the main event, starting with Makhmud Muradov. He's an absolute beast. He had a close fight with Chirico in his UFC debut, and he bounced back here against Trevor Smith. Bear in mind, Trevor Smith isn't the best of opponents, and I picked Makhmud Muradov to win. I actually almost had an 100% win ratio on my predictions for this card. Don't mean to toot my own horn, but, you know, I'm pretty fucking good. Makhmud Muradov, just an absolute schooling over Trevor Smith, showed that there's levels to this game and showed that he's the next man up, earning himself a 50k performance of the night bonus. Well deserved. The KO was fucking brutal. And at middleweight, I don't know who I want to see him fight next. Maybe him versus Brendan Allen. Maybe him versus Darren Stewart. These are fights that can happen, and I'm looking forward to them. Werner Jandiroba versus Mallory Martin. I mean, 15-1 versus 6-3. It was a no-brainer, really, and Werner Jandiroba gets to finish in the second round. Good job. Well done. I don't really know if there's much else to say there. It was a bit of a shit matchmaking session, but, you know, an easy prediction for me. Bryce Mitchell. No. Joe Selecki versus Matt Wyman. Joe Selecki just... This was the most frustrating fight on the card to watch because it was such an outclassing, wrestling-wise. Joe Selecki had none of the stand-up whatsoever. He was just like, oh, you want to stand and throw bangs? Okay, I'm going to come underneath and we're going to do this for now. We're just going to do this on the ground and you're not going to get back up because you're Matt fucking Wyman, okay? And you're about 50 years of fucking age. And Joe Selecki scored him. I picked a young, hungry up-and-comer. I'm glad he won because now we have a new guy to talk about at lightweight who just earned a good win. And I think the next fight I'd like to see is Joe Selecki versus Matt Frevola or Luis Pena. One of those two fights. They're both great. And that's what I want to see next. Bryce Mitchell. My main man from Arkansas. Thug nasty. I love the accent. Bryce Mitchell versus Matt Sales. Bryce Mitchell is a savage. I think we're learning that more and more every single time he goes out there. Of course, I predicted him to win. I predicted him to win his last fight as well. I mean, when you get your dick caught in a drill and it's screwed, like you've got something to fight for now, you know. He needs to make it big because if his dick is completely mangled by that drill, if you don't know, look up the story. Bryce Mitchell gets his dick caught in a drill and it just fucking mangles the shit out of it. He has something to fight for. If your dick's a fucking abomination right now, you need to be a millionaire to live a happy life. And that's what Bryce Mitchell's coming in with. That's the energy he's coming at there with. So I like it. Nice little twister finish. People were confused because DC called it a guillotine, but that's just what they call it in wrestling. Eddie Bravo calls it a twister because it's more of a jiu-jitsu move. But Bryce Mitchell pulls off the twister, the second ever in UFC history behind only Korean Zombie to Leonard Garcia, way back in the day before Zombie even started his military service. Bryce Mitchell, absolute savage. Absolute savage. Earns himself a 50k bonus. Good job. The next fight I want to see from him, what's Hakeem Dawodu doing? Is he getting a ranked opponent? Because right now, everyone else seems like they're booked up. So if they are booked up, I think we need to see Bryce Mitchell versus Hakeem Dawodu. That would be the best fight to make. And then the winner of that one, they're both young. And then the winner of Bryce Mitchell, Hakeem Dawodu, then can get a shot against someone in the rankings. Because right now, there's a lot of fights that are already booked in the rankings, other than Ryan Hall. So maybe Bryce Mitchell versus Ryan Hall would be good. You could sell that. A jiu-jitsu specialist in Ryan Hall and Bryce Mitchell coming off of one of the craziest submissions in UFC history. You could sell that fight. That would make some sense to me. And I picked Bryce Mitchell to win and Joe Selecki as well. Billy Quarantillo versus Jacob Kilburn. I mean, I just felt bad for Jacob Kilburn, I'll be honest with you guys. I don't know what was going on. He came out there, got completely destroyed on the ground in the first round, and in the second round, pulled fucking guard. That was the closest thing to retardation I've ever seen in the cage. And I don't understand why he did it, but I guess he just wanted to lose. So Jacob Kilburn loses once more. You might know him from losing to Bobby Moffett on the Contender Series. Billy Quarantillo, another guy at featherweight. We'll see what happens with him. Again, maybe he can take on the guy I spoke about earlier. Never mind. They're in different weight classes. Fuck. Billy Quarantillo had a good performance though. I don't know who I want to see him fight next. We'll see what happens. Who's a featherweight coming off one win right now? Let me think. Featherweight coming off a win. A decent win. Featherweights. Let me think of the division real quick. It's going to come to me any second now, so you guys better stay tuned here. Billy Quarantillo versus... Fuck! Man, I can't think of any featherweights. Fuck. Let's just give him to Holloway. Fuck's sake, man. Thiago Alves versus Tim Means. I went with Tim Means. This was a risky prediction. To be honest with you, if you look at the first 5 fights on this card with Muradov, the woman kind of thing, Joe Selecki, Bryce Mitchell, Billy Quarantillo, you should be able to pick those guys out as winners. But this Alves versus Means fight was very difficult to predict. But I went with Tim Means. It paid off. He got caught a few times in that fight and showed that his chin's still there after a devastating loss to Nico Price by KO. He bounces back, gets a big win over Thiago Alves. I predict he's probably going to lose his next fight because that's what Tim Means does. Win one, lose one, win one, lose one. We'll see what happens. Can he string together another win? We'll see. But at welterweight, there's a bunch of guys that he can take on. And I'd be very interested to see some of those matchups. Tim Means reasserts himself on the headliner of a prelims. A big fight. He should use this momentum to try and secure himself a decent opponent. Maybe Carlos Condit. Maybe someone else. Maybe James Krause, who's a welterweight. But I feel like James Krause maybe earned a shot in the rankings. There's a bunch of guys. But Tim Means, that left hand, I mean, Jesus Christ. Tim Means is good. I mean, he gets caught sometimes and pays for mistakes. But Jesus, Tim Means is an absolute savage. And Thiago Alves, listen, man. Post-USADA, things are changing. You're Brazilian and it's post-USADA. Things are wrong. You look at every Brazilian. After USADA came along, there was issues. There was issues with all of them. And Thiago Alves is just another victim and it sucks. But Tim Means got the job done. Very impressive performance. Dominant from Tim Means. He means business. Main card. Rob Font, I predicted to win. Got the job done over Ricky Simone. I thought this was a close fight and it could probably have gone... It should have gone to Rob Font, but if the judges said to Ricky Simone, I'd be annoyed, but I could maybe understand it. It was very close, but as I said again, they don't respect grappling as much anymore. And I think that's accurate, because unless you're doing damage from the grappling situations, I don't think they should be respecting it as much. So I'm glad they don't, because Ricky Simone, what would happen is, he'd get Rob Font down, but then no offense would be happening whatsoever. There would be no massive ground and pound. Not a lot of it anyway. There were some little shots that he would land on the ground, but Rob Font would eventually find his way back to the feet and then just school Ricky Simone on the feet. But I was surprised by Ricky Simone. He's very good. He's very good. And I don't know who I want to see him fight next, but it's a tough loss for him. Ricky Simone versus Andre Ewell would be a great fight. Both guys just outside the rankings. Both guys coming off losses. I think that would be a great fight to happen next. And Rob Font, I feel like he should get a fight with Cody Stamann. That was the original fight that was supposed to be booked for Rob Font. Cody Stamann, I think, pulled out. Rob Font, Cody Stamann makes a lot of sense to me. We'll get to that in a second. Cody Stamann versus Song Yadong. I picked Stamann to win. I really thought he won. Especially with the point deduction. I really thought he won the fight. And I don't understand the decision, but I guess I can see it being a draw if you give the second round to Song Yadong. I just don't. I don't get it. I get if Cody Stamann's taking you down and there's no offense. But when you're not beating him up on the feet already, and he takes you down and there's no offense, he's still winning. Because there's nothing really happening on the feet. It's pretty even. And he takes you down. I think that should count for something. But they gave it a draw. A good outcome for Song Yadong. And to be honest with you, Cody Stamann wasn't going to move up the rankings anyway taking this fight. So probably okay for him as well. But they both just make their show money. Cody Stamann, Rob Font, the winner of that gets a shot at a guy up the rankings. And for Song Yadong coming off a draw, maybe you should take on Nathaniel Wood. There you go. Nathaniel Wood, young, hungry up-and-comer. He needs an opponent. Song Yadong said he wants a quick turnaround, I believe. If my Chinese is correct. Fuck it, I hope he's Chinese. Jesus Christ, that would be unfortunate. But, yeah, we'll see what happens. Hopefully that's the fight that they make next. Because I want to see Nathaniel Wood in the rankings. Song Yadong got a draw. Very lucky of him. And he should be very blessed to be in the situation he's in. Even he said he lost. But to be honest with you, he's going to learn from this. He's a young guy. He threw an illegal knee and got a point deducted in the first round. Credit for Cody Stamann not pulling a Todd Duffy and bitching out. But Jesus Christ, I mean, Song Yadong. I mean, I don't know what to say. But it was a good fight. I enjoyed it while it lasted. Aspen Ladd versus Yana Kunitskaya. I picked Aspen Ladd to win. On my full fight prediction video, when I did all of them, I picked Kunitskaya. I changed it to Aspen Ladd. I'm glad I did, and I said she was going to finish it in second or third round TKO. I like Aspen Ladd in many different ways, okay? In many different ways. I like Aspen Ladd, and I think she did a dominant performance. Yana Kunitskaya is no slouch. She put together 2 good wins in the division. Aspen Ladd just shut that shit down with a brutal left hand. Let's get Aspen Ladd a shot against someone in the rankings at the top 5 of the rankings. Maybe the winner of Holly Holm versus Raquel Pennington. That would make sense to me, and then the winner of that one can maybe earn themselves a title shot. But Jesus Christ, Aspen Ladd. Great performance. Not often you see KOs like that in the women's division unless you're Nunes. So that was a good job from Aspen Ladd. I love it. Stefan Struve versus Ben Rothwell. Struve. They weren't that bad. I know, listen, I don't know if he has this kind of giant monstrosity of a penis that he has on him, that Ben Rothwell was just clipping in awkward areas. But the second shot didn't even land on Struve's balls. Okay? And it wasn't that bad. I've been to cadets, which is like a military cadet service in the UK, where they sort of groom you for the military, basically, what's going on. And there's this thing called nut raids, where people would sprint into your dorms and blast you in the dick as many times as humanly possible. And it happened to me once, and I was fine. And I'm not a world-class UFC fighter, okay? I'm not a tough man in the UFC. And I can take a couple shots to the dick, okay? And it ain't that bad. Yes, it hurts, but does it hurt for 5 minutes where you can't even stand up? I don't think so. But either way, Ben Rothwell got the KO. I'm glad, because if Struve won, to be honest, I probably think he would have retired anyway. I don't think he's going to retire now he's lost, because I think he feels like he kind of got robbed. But Ben Rothwell, man, good win. KO in the second round. I'm kind of glad it happened, because that was an absolute shit show while it lasted. And Ben Rothwell gets the job done. For Ben Rothwell, I'd like to see him fight if Cyril Gane can beat Tanner Boser in UFC South Korea. I'd like to see Cyril Gane take on Ben Rothwell, and then the winner of that one can get a shot against a guy in the rankings. I think that's what makes the most sense. Marina Rodriguez versus Cynthia Calvillo. I actually don't mind this draw. I don't mind this draw. I thought Rodriguez won the first 2 rounds. I thought Calvillo got a 10-8 in the third, but maybe not a 10-8. We'll see. The judges went 2 of them for a 10-8. I don't mind that. I don't mind it at all. I think it was... I need to pick my nose off camera. I don't mind it at all. I thought it was a pretty good draw. What I do mind is that the girl who had a full training camp missed weight by 4 pounds, and Marina Rodriguez, who took this on short notice, made weight and drained herself and killed herself to make weight a day before her contest. You, who had a full training camp, you fat bitch, came in 4 pounds overweight. If I don't hear a fucking good excuse, there's going to be issues. She should be punished severely for that. Because in the third round, she had a 5 pound weight advantage over Marina Rodriguez in that third round. Because remember, Marina Rodriguez made championship weight. She didn't just make the limit. So Calvillo is actually 5 pounds heavier than her. And in the third round, where you're really tired, that 5 round plays a major factor. And I'm pissed off. And she shouldn't have any right to call anyone out or feel entitled or powerful after that win. You barely got by. Well done, you got a draw. I don't even care what happens next, to be honest with you. Alistair Overeem versus Jairzinho Rozenstruik. I thought it was a little bit of an early stoppage, but it happened. And I think it happened because of the situation. It was later on in the fight. The referee, Dan Mergliata, he knows if he doesn't stop this, it's going to be really messy. If you don't stop a fight when a guy's trying to do a walk-off KO, it gets really fucking messy. It gets really messy because it ends up like, oh, the fight's still on. Oh, the bell goes. Oh, and now there's all this controversy. Should it have been stopped? Should it not have been stopped? So Dan Mergliata made the safe choice as a referee. He saw the lip. He saw Overeem just waddling towards his cornermen and just thought, you know what? I'm just going to call it off, avoid this awkward situation, and we're going to give Jairzinho Rozenstruik the win. And to be honest with you, it was the best outcome for the heavyweight division, because we need new blood. And as much as I love Overeem, I think he's a great guy, and he's still fucking jacked despite being post-USADA and off the juice. He's fucking in phenomenal shape still, and he can still compete with the best in the world. I didn't expect the fight to go this way. I really didn't. And Rozenstruik got him done in the 5th round. I thought Rozenstruik would win in the first. not the 5th with 5 seconds to go. That's just bizarre to me. But Rozenstruik versus Ngannou sounds good to me. I hear the UFC going to Africa. You got 2 Africans here. That would make a great headliner for a main event. Sign me up. You got Sadiq Youssef as well, representing as well. So that would be some great card if they could make it happen. But Alistair Overeem, man, it sucks. That lip was completely destroyed. So to be honest with you, I'm kind of glad. But one thing that really annoyed me is Rozenstruik, you're losing the entire fight, okay? You're down 3 rounds to 1. You've got 5 seconds left. And you do a walk-off KO. There is a level of retardation in the MMA world that all MMA fighters share, where they're just straight up brain dead retards sometimes, and I will say that over and over again because it's true. You have 5 seconds left. You need a KO. You need a finish. You drop Alistair Overeem and you just walk off. You don't pounce on the opportunity to make sure it's a finish. You risk a walk-off, and to be honest, he's very lucky that Dan Miragliotta stepped in, because if Dan Miragliotta would have said, Overeem's fine, he's still walking around, he just got back up on his own, he's fine, then Rozenstruik would have lost. And it was fucking stupid from Rozenstruik, and no one would have had a problem with this stoppage if Rozenstruik had, after he dropped Overeem, just blasted him one more time. Everyone would have been fine with the stoppage, and Rozenstruik's an absolute savage either way, but just not too switched on up there. I do think that Ngannou would flatten him, though. That's what I learned here. I learned that the power is only really applicable against Andrei Arlovski. I think Ngannou would fucking clean this fall right out of the cage. Yeah. Ngannou's a different level, in my opinion. I think this fight showed it. I mean, Ngannou fought a better version of Overeem and just completely demolished him in the first round. Jairzinho Rozenstruik lost the entire fight and then risked the walk-off KO that went in his favour, basically. So yeah, good fight though. Really good fight. I'm glad I watched it. This was a great card in general, to be honest with you guys. Great fights all around. In terms of my predictions, I predicted Makhmud Muradov and predicted Jan Doroba. Those were quite obvious ones in my opinion. Joe Selecki predicted him. Bryce Mitchell predicted him, even though he was an underdog, which was pretty good. Billy Quarantillo predicted him. Tim Means predicted him. I was 100%. Main card predicted Rob Font. 7 for 7. And then Cody Stamann I predicted. So I won that one as well. That's 8-0, and that's what it is. It's 8-0. Aspen Ladd predicted her. 9-0. Ben Rothwell predicted him. 10-0. And then the only one I got wrong was the Cynthia Calvillo Marina Rodriguez. But I didn't know that Cynthia Calvillo was going to be a fat bitch. So, you know, that's pretty hard to predict in my opinion. I wasn't there in her training cap watching her stuff fucking Big Macs into her throat. So, you know, along with other things in her throat, I'm sure, at Team Alpha Male, because there's a lot of men at that gym. And we all know what goes on. Alistair Overeem, Rozenstruik. I picked Rozenstruik as well. So all in all, I think I was 6 on the main card, 4 on the prelims, 2 on the early prelims, 11 out of 12. Not too bad. I wish I would have got 12 out of 12, but she's a fat hoe. In a bit. Like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Click that button there. Goodbye.